In the year 2020, I started a podcast about movies. Some episodes occasionally focused on other media as well. As I dealt with threatening interdimensional beings, I eventually met my other self from another universe where all the stuff I talked about got delayed. As it turns out, the stories as me and my guests described them were presented very differently in that other universe. So I continued podcasting these recaps, which apparently sound like improvised reviews, to entertain listeners of that other universe while they waited for the new release dates. Some episodes even focused on content of years past that did not come out in that other universe for whatever reason. The year is 2022. The podcast is now bi-weekly, unless stated otherwise. My name is Steven Shinder, and you're listening to Delayed Replay. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, the second anniversary episode talking about A Quiet Place 3D Day 1. And I'm your host, as usual, Steven Shinder. And joining me, if you've been listening to this podcast since day one, see what I did there?
Funny.
Yeah, it's Andres Serrano who's joining me on
Woo!
this.
Steven, I am back in the saddle for what I think is my fourth time on your awesome podcast. Is that right?
It might be like seventh.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's count them back real quick. So I was on the very first episode.
Yeah.
I was on the Walking Dead episode.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah. What else was there?
Candyman.
Candyman. True. I was on the Candyman episode. I was on the other anniversary episode.
Yeah.
And then
before that there was Escape Room 2.
Yes, the Escape Room 2 and the Saw episode.
Yeah, Spiral.
Spiral, which I'd like to say we were pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Time out the interjection. Did you ever watch Spiral? Did you ever go see it?
Oh, you're asking if like the other version of me.
Yes, the alternate universe you ever saw the Spiral of that universe.
Yeah, he saw it like a year ago, and he said it was like, in his opinion, the worst Saw movie. Like it was. So
like my alternate version of myself also saw it, and also thought it was the worst Saw film of the franchise. It was so bad.
Yeah, like there was some like tonal issues. Like there's like a reference to Forrest Gump, which is weird because Saw movies generally don't reference other movies.
Also, the spoiler alert, but not really, because I'm not gonna give that much away. The ending was the lamest twist end I've ever seen in Saw.
It was so predictable, and it's like, even like, okay, like the ending for, I'm not gonna say what is, but the ending for the seventh one is super predictable because of how they foreshadow it.
Yes, it is.
But it's kind of fitting because at the time it was like the end of the series, so whatever. And the ending of this version of Spiral that the other Us's saw was just it was just so, it was so predictable. Like there's no surprise in the twist ending, which is disappointing because like
so bad.
The twist ending is what people love about the Saw movies.
Yes,
this is just lame.
My other self also thought the contraption at the end was really lame too.
Yeah, and and how it went down, it's just so.
It was so bad on so many levels.
But yeah, it was like a 5 out of 10 for my other self apparently. But anyway.
Only for me, for my other self, it was like a 3. It was like a 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are far worse movies out there, but like 5-ish is where it tends to be like really mediocre, I think.
Fair.
Yeah. We're actually recording on the second anniversary of when the first episode went out. It's May 16th when we're recording this.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah, and it's also like sort of unrelated, but also the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, the Star Wars movie.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that on the internet today. Everybody was praising Hayden Christensen.
Yeah. which is funny because, like,
20 years ago, he got so much hate.
Yeah, I mean, I still, like, rewatching the movie earlier, it's like, okay, some of this is pretty bad. Like, I know Hayden can do better, like, he does better in Revenge of the Sith, but
yeah,
people are just really nostalgic for Attack of the Clones and, like,
I think Attack of the Clones is the worst film in the original saga. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd even say it's still my least favorite, even post.
You know what? I'd agree. I think it's the worst film out of the entire saga, out of all 9. You know what? I'll throw in Solo and Rogue One. Out of all 11, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, but it's still kind of fun to watch. But it's just there are these story decisions where it's like, why did the characters do this? Why didn't they do this instead? It's just
absolutely, absolutely.
Yesterday, I made a post where I was like, tomorrow I will watch Attack of the Clones and celebrate the anniversary of the best prequel film. And what people didn't know was that what I meant by the latter part of the sentence is that I was referring to 2 separate things. So I watched Attack of the Clones and celebrating the best prequel film, which to me is Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me.
I totally don't understand why people made that disconnect, Steven. I don't see how.
Yeah, like with all my talk about Star Wars and Twin Peaks, like how could people
ever get mistaken? How?
Yeah. But yeah, so we're talking about A Quiet Place 3D Day 1, which is it was a
beauty. It was a beauty.
Well, okay, it's a very unusual title. Like it's part 3, but they're still doing the flashback thing. It's like they could have I feel like if they had more time to sit with like the franchise, like they might have come to the conclusion of like, you know what, maybe we should do a prequel and a part 3 separately instead of like merging them. And like it feels like they kind of rushed it to get it out for like Friday the 13th recently and like doing the 3D thing as if it's like Paramount's callback to Friday the 13th 3D 40 years ago or whatever.
You know, it really felt like we went back to square one, you know, with this film. Like it was very much a case of where I felt like this film was not paying attention to the lore that has been established in the last 2 films. Yeah. And they were like, let's start over. Let's start over. Ignore what you know about this universe. Ignore what you know about the monsters from space. Ignore everything. We will be resetting the whole franchise with a prequel sequel. Huh? Yeah. It was crazy, but I enjoyed it though. It brought new horizons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I probably have different feelings, but speaking of forced flashbacks, I was like moving files around on my computer and actually discovered like the original recording of the first delayed replay episode before it seemed like I lost it because of a can of worms messing with like the computer and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I found a segment of it. So
I wasn't the first guest.
Yeah, I know. Imagine that. So it was. I asked my roommate at the time, Ryan, at first, and we tried it out. And I'll just play it for the audience.
Okay, hold on. Let's give it a listen.
Okay, yeah, it's recording the sounds, so it looks like. Go ahead and say something real quick.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, let me just suggest that. Oh, that doesn't come up in the thing. Alright. So, yeah, I'm Steven Shinder, starting this podcast where we talk about movies. Still trying to figure out what the name should be. Maybe, like, recap should be somewhere in the name. Maybe I should sit closer to the mic. Hang on. So, yeah, maybe I'll, like, edit the name in or something, but Joining me for this first episode to talk about A Quiet Place Part 2, it is my roommate at this time in May 2020, or whenever this is when it is. I don't know if people in the future are hearing, but it is Ryan Howe. How is it going?
It's going good. I've never heard that one before.
Oh, really? Yeah. I'm wondering if I should hold the mic up to maybe that would
So you need to go closer,
or maybe just scoot a little closer. But yeah, you're actually dressed all formal despite I told you this wasn't gonna be a video podcast. It's just gonna be audio.
Oh, what can I say? It's a way of life.
Yeah, you've got the top hat and talk about the rest of this ensemble you're wearing that people can't see.
Well, top hat, pocket protector. I forgot my cane at home. But nice shoes, the works. I was gonna throw in a cummerbund, but I didn't feel like it.
Okay, I really like the cape. Not many people can pull that off.
Well, some people have it, some people don't. What can I say?
Yeah, Edna Mode from The Incredibles just flips seeing that. But yeah, so we just thanks for taking time out of your schedule. I know you have to go to work in was it in 20 minutes or something? Or?
Oh, I work all the time. It never ends.
And our scores, I guess we'll start by saying what our score for this movie is. So for me, it's a 7.5 out of 10. What was the score for you? And then we'll go over why we give them that score.
I'd give it a 6.
Okay, 6 out of 10. My dog Elias just walked into the room. I don't know if people can hear him, but yeah. I know I watched this movie, but I'm trying to gather what. Well, okay, so there's that weird. I guess we should start with the thing that people are speculating most about, which is that weird post-credit scene with the beekeeper, and it's in black and white. I don't know what that's all about. Do you have any theories or anything?
No, I can't really put that one together. I haven't thought of anything really.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I should have looked up theories online beforehand. But yeah. There was one thing you mentioned that so in the first movie there was the waterfall that canceled out noise, and you're it's weird that they don't go to Niagara Falls in these movies. So yeah. Have you ever been to Niagara Falls? Or?
I actually have.
Oh, you have?
I have, yes.
Oh, let's talk about that while I collect my thoughts.
It's loud. It's very, very loud. You have to raise your voice in order to just hear anybody standing 2 feet next to you, depending on where you are. But the noise is just constant and it's loud.
Okay. Yeah. What year was that? I'm curious.
This would have been in 2007, I think.
Oh wow, so a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was it on the? Because it's along the border, right? So was it on the Canadian side or the U.S. side, or?
We didn't have passports, so definitely on the U.S. side.
Okay, yeah. Unless you're hiding to the Canadian side, I don't know.
You never know. This might be put aloud in a deposition, so I'm not admitting anything.
Yeah, no, we're just kidding. This movie, it was weirder than the first one. Sometimes it got super silent, so you couldn't really eat during it, and also got super loud at times, which got really annoying. What was this? How's the soundscape for you? I guess.
The really, really silent parts were pretty creepy. And if at the exact moment someone decided to open their candy.
Yeah. Yeah. In the first movie, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't chew this hot dog because people will hear me. And yeah, I'm kind of drawing a. Damn, I feel rusty at this. It's been like a few years since I've podcasted. Like last one I did was like a Star Wars podcast, and it was kind of weird because like the episodes I was on, like most of them was just me talking by myself because like me and those like our schedules like wouldn't line up. So and then I just got busy with school and had to study abroad, and so I couldn't like podcast anymore at that time. But guesting on a couple other friends' podcasts recently, I was thinking, okay, maybe this could be a fun thing to do if I could figure it out. Oh, there's my dog again. All right. Yeah, I know we're like running short on time before we have to go to work, but oh man, I'm not sure if it like recorded. Oh man, damn.
Oh boy.
Okay, yeah. I guess I'll have to like figure this out. And you're like really busy with your schedule, right?
I am. I really don't think I could re-record this.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Okay. That's totally fair. I'll try to see if I can like get any other friends to guest on this. See, I know Andres and Nathan from IREF like movies, and there's also Zach from IPC. So maybe I'll see if maybe I'll have like different guests like each time, and hopefully come up with a name for this podcast. But yeah. Sorry for all that, Ryan.
It happens.
Yeah, just tech problems. So yeah, we'll see.
Quite the segment.
Steven, I cannot believe the things you just said on there. First of all, you were laughing harder at his jokes than mine. What is going on here? Oh, Steven. I'm gonna have my lawyer's gonna have a word with yours because
yeah, and I mean, what's weird about that is that the laughter for me was like some of it feels artificial because like I was like pressing this thing to activate like a laugh track made of my own laughter at the time. But yeah, some of that was like really awkward to listen to. You would think I had never podcasted before that, but yeah.
Even by listening to that, I would have thought that you had just been coming out of podcasting school and have been presenting us the grandest of presentations ever. It was perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, and we have a little message from Ryan for like the anniversary, so I'll play that real quick.
Happy anniversary, delayed replay.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Very quick message to the point, and yeah, thanks for your help and whatnot.
What was his name again? Sorry, I completely missed it. What was his name again? It was Dylan?
No, Dylan was on the anniversary episode last year, so throwback. It was Ryan. Ryan,
you're coming for my front, and I don't appreciate it. I think you need to step off. This is my territory. I am the second host. I'm the unspoken host of this podcast. Please refer all your emails to me now. Thank you.
Speaking of emails, the email for this podcast, delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com, I recently got a notification that like someone was trying to create a Reddit account using that email.
What?
Yeah, and I like messaged Reddit support about it, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird. It seems like someone might have accidentally used your email when setting up an account." And it's like, bro, how would someone accidentally do that? It's such a specific email.
Sounds like a bot was making an account.
Oh, I mean, maybe. That was a weird thing. Also, the YouTube channel, which like some of the users, I question whether or not they're real, whether they're bots, but it got to 100 subscribers like 5 days ago, which
wow, great job.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's more subscribers than I have ever had.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll take your word for it. Getting back to the movie, last we saw the Abbott family. They were in Alabama, and they were like hiding in the fountain, and they got like the radio signal from like Evelyn's dad, who lives on a bee farm.
Right.
So there's that happening, but there's also these flashbacks to day one where they show these other survivors we had never heard of before, and what they were doing on the very first day that like the aliens came. So what do you think of how the beginning of this, like just how that went down?
All right. In case someone hasn't seen the film, I need to describe the opening shot to them. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're spoiling everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So in case you haven't seen it, hashtag spoiler alert. So the shot opens up on this beautiful scene at the bee farm, but I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. It's not actually the bee farm; it's a bee farm, but it's kind of like shot in a way where we're thinking it's like a direct continuation of the last film. And it's beautiful, it's calm, and there's like children running, and you hear buzzing everywhere from the bees, and like everything's going perfect. And then you hear the radio in the background, it's going like, and you're like, oh wow, ambient sounds going on. And then like you're supposed to slowly tune in, and it cuts to like a radio like report of like, I don't know, and actually they don't actually describe what radio station we're listening to. I'm not okay with that. And they're like, warning, we're what was it, Steven? It's like incoming projectiles. What was it from space? Do you remember what it was, what they said?
They were saying incoming invaders. This could be some sort of war of the worlds, which was
right, it was super weird
reference.
Right? Yeah, I was like, yes, when life is about to go haywire, let me make puns on the air.
Yeah.
And we see like in the background, like as these kids are playing, like we see like little shrapnel like breaking in and coming into orbit, but like they're playing and whatnot. And then like we see this one rock slowly start coming towards the farm, and like it destroys the farm, and then like the rubbish hits, and then like in that blackout, like we cut to like what was it, Steve? Like 15 years later, where are we at?
Yeah, like I was really surprised that it was further after the second movie than we would expect.
Yes, and that's what made me so upset, because it left us on a cliffhanger on the second one.
Yeah. Also, the shrapnel was in 3D, obviously.
Exactly, like, and the shrapnel was in 3D, so it shot at you. Oh. Yeah, and they like cut to 15 years later, and like this bee farm's all like broken and abandoned, and yeah, it was a pretty cool intro though. I thought it was a lot of great usage of the mystery, but yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I mean that reminds me, I thought it was kind of funny how when we talked about part 2, we mentioned that like that post-credit scene was black and white. It showed a beekeeper, like someone in a beekeeper outfit.
Yes.
And like that ended up happening on WandaVision like a year later. It was so weird.
Hold on. We predicted WandaVision.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The film allegorized WandaVision. We saw it coming, Steven. We are the writers.
Yeah, and it was weird because like both like Randall Park was in this movie, and so was Rainn Wilson.
Yes,
like, he had a beard, and it was kind of like the farm from The Office, basically.
It was a very nice tongue-in-cheek reference to the writers are being big fans. AKA John Krasinski is a big fan of The Office.
Yeah, like Rainn Wilson was Evelyn's dad, and Randall Park is like his assistant on the farm, and his name is Jim because he played Jim in that one.
Yeah.
Point, so there's that.
Yeah. It was so good. Easily best part of the movie. But that would be taken away from the shotgun scene. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about the shotgun scene later.
Oh yeah. Really, they fast forward to like 15 years later, and we see like the world is just like overrun with all these aliens, and they're like wrecking cars. There's like a taxi that they throw and whatnot.
But like they throw it at like whatever sound they hear. It's not like they're just throwing taxis. They're like throwing them at random sounds in the city.
Yeah, and at the audience.
And at the audience because it was 3D. That's right.
Yeah.
My favorite part's when the license plate comes right at you. You're like, oh, numbers. Oh.
Yeah, and the license plate was very obviously just an abbreviation of the movie title. It was just not sleek. Like that was how they did the opening title. Like they showed the abbreviation and then expanded it, so that's A Quiet Place 3D Day
3D. Yeah. And I remember do you remember the real spacey sound it does? It was kind of do the Nope intro where like it was a really like overwhelming sound. And it was like you're like, oh my god, this is a horror movie.
Yeah. Oh man, the trailer for Nope is like it's pretty well made, but the part where like the title comes down, or not the title, where it
reverse.
Says,
it comes out in reverse.
Yeah, it's like it's trying to say from Jordan Peele, but the way it comes down, I read it as Jordan Peele from. It's just weird.
I also disagree with that choice, but yet again, that's Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele just makes great weird things. So I'm pretty excited about Nope, though. I'm really excited about Nope. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm very. Well, I'm somewhat excited about it because it's hard to tell like what it's gonna be. Really,
dude,
I love
aliens. Aliens. We're talking about an alien movie right now. It's about aliens.
Yeah, like History Channel guy, aliens.
Exactly. Ah, yes, that guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah, well, like Get Out was incredible.
It was a masterpiece. Yeah.
The one after that,
Us.
I thought that one had a really predictable ending, so I thought it was,
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
Okay, so like this one could range from anywhere between those, I guess. But I am interested in seeing it, definitely.
I'm super interested because that movie really reminds me, that trailer really reminds me of what we saw here, which was, I don't know if you remember, when all that paper trail like flies into the sky, just like it does in the Nope trailer.
Yeah, into the audience.
Yeah, in this case, it's into the audience as it like fills up your face. You're like, papers, taxes, no.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And then it like does like a flashback to day one where we see these other survivors. What'd you think of the actors that they got for these like unfamiliar survivors, like on the very first day of the invasion?
So the fact that they got Norman Reedus to play yet again a post-apocalyptic survivor, absolutely hilarious. It kind of immersed me more. It felt more grounded because they got Norman Reedus to play this, but it was pretty awesome. They got what's his name? It's the guy from its name's Benedict Cumberbatch. That's right. I forgot Benedict Cumberbatch's names. It was Norman Reedus, Benedict Cumberbatch, and it's the girl from Pirates of the Caribbean. She plays Elizabeth Swann. What's her name?
Keira Knightley.
Yes, and Keira Knightley. The three of them in the middle of that argument in the Uber was pretty cool. Like as the world goes haywire, as the three of them are arguing in the Uber as they're heading to a wedding, was pretty rad. It was pretty rad. I can't lie.
Yeah, and when they get to the wedding, Mindy Kaling is the bride, so like
yes,
another Office actress.
Yes, all these nice little subtle Office references by John Krasinski were 10 out of 10. Stevens, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and the groom is like everyone's like.
I'm sorry, I thought you said the Gru, and I was like, Gru was there. Yes.
Yeah, Steve Carell shaved his head bald to look like Gru, and like he was
wore his scarf.
Yeah, he was walking Mindy Kaling down the aisle, but then everyone was like, "Wait, where's the groom?" And it turns out that like the groom got like eaten by one of these alien things, and so now the aliens crashed the wedding, and like this is when they first these people first see them on day one.
Yeah. Steven, I think that scene in the wedding where I think this film does something really incredible. It's real experimental in the fact that they keep showing us peaceful, beautiful, calm slice of life scenes, and then chaos hits the screen, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is in 3D." You know, where you're like, you're watching it like Norman Reedus, Benedict Cumberbatch, and the girl Elizabeth Swann, Keira Knightley. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot her name. Keira Knightley. they all get to the wedding and like they're all having drinks, and for like a solid 10 minutes you forget what movie you're watching, and they're like there and they're doing their thing, and we see Mindy and the wedding happens, and then like all of a sudden we see the exact same thing. Like we see the rock shatter in the atmosphere in the background, and like I didn't pay attention my first time. I went to go watch it 3 times because I watched it with 2 separate people after. And I never noticed that.
I thought you were gonna say you watched it 3 times because it's in 3D.
No. No, but I went and saw it 3 times, and I never noticed until my last time that every time disaster's about to strike, you see the rocks, the meteorites break in the atmosphere in the background. I never noticed that before. Did you notice that on any of your watchings?
No, because like it's just like there's so much quick stuff going on that's hard for like, and with a 3D it's just so chaotic, it's hard for me to like focus in on those details.
My dad wanted to go with me, but he did it because he says he gets headaches with 3D movies, and I kind of respect it because I think as I'm getting older, I'm also starting to develop headaches with 3D movies because I'm like, oh my, there's so much going on at once.
Like after the first Avatar movie came out, like I would start seeing other movies in 3D like in 2010 and whatever, but over time it like lost its novelty, and so it wasn't until recently that I was like, okay, yeah, I'll see Escape Room 3D, I'll see Avatar 2, The Way of Water in 3D.
Yes.
But yeah, like this 3D is not that great, honestly.
Steven, have you watched any films in 40X? I know this film was in 40X, but I didn't go see it in 40X. But have you seen any films in 40X?
Does Shrek 4D at Universal Studios count?
I will count it, but no. But I will count it.
Okay, yeah, that's... What about you?
I've seen 2 movies in 40X. I saw Birds of Prey, and I saw No Way Home in 40X. And absolutely crazy experiences. Now, personally, overrated. First of all, expensive. That's why number one reason why I hate going.
$50 or something, or
no, whoa, no, Steven, whoa, slow your horses. No, they're not that expensive. I think they're like $25 though per ticket. It's okay, like it's still pricey. It's still pricey though. Yeah, it still hurts to go see it.
You could buy popcorn with all that money,
dude. You can buy a crunch wrap with that. You know,
a $25 crunch wrap. Yeah,
$25 crunch wrap. I meant a crunch bar, but I forgot the word bar. And I said wrap, so the crunch wrap.
No, yeah, the wrap is $25 and the bar is extra.
There you go, exactly. And you know, the 40X theaters are really cool. Like they're in 3D, which I'm kind of not the biggest fan of, but they're in 3D. They pour smoke in the room. It rains in the movie. They throw water at you. They spray water at you. It's pretty cool. Like when it was raining in Spider-Man No Way Home, and a very sad moment in the movie happens, and he's standing in the rain, and he's like, rain's falling on him. Like there's rain falling on you in the theater. And that was awesome. So Steven, what I'm telling you is you have to try it once and then agree with me that it's not worth it at all. That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, well, I'd have to figure out like if there's anything playing that like does that near here, because like I've never heard of 4DX really.
Oh, so the seats, just like in the Shrek ride, they throw you around.
Okay.
Surround sound. It's 3D like Shrek. It sprays water with you like Shrek. It plays smoke like Shrek. The only difference is it's usually in groups of 4, not like Shrek. So,
but like if it doesn't involve Shrek, then like what's even the point,
dude? That's why I'm not going to Universal Studios anymore. Ever since they got rid of the Shrek 4D experience,
they got rid of it. Oh my
Steven,
gosh!
I'm sorry to break it to you in the middle of the filming. They got rid of it like 2 months ago.
This is almost as disappointing as when they got rid of the Back to the Future ride.
No! Oh, were you a huge fan of that ride?
I never got to go on it, sadly. It was already the Simpsons ride the first time I went.
I was heavily and heartbrokenly disappointed when they got rid of the Terminator experience. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that one was cool.
That one was the coolest thing at Universal Studios, and they got rid of it. Like the monsters that they are. And Steven, do you remember what they replaced it with?
What did they replace it with?
The Minions.
Oh my gosh.
They got rid of the best experience for the Minions. I rest my case. The jury may continue.
Damn, that's disappointing. But yeah, so getting back to the movie, they flash forward and they finally show the Abbott family. You know, they're 15 years older. So
dude, and we're like 25 minutes into the movie at this point. Like, we're barely seeing them.
Yeah, it's like, damn, finally, like the baby is like a teenager now.
Yep.
And finally has a name. They say that do you remember what his name was? That
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, yes. Chrysanthemum. I guess a literary reference there.
Yes.
And you know, the older siblings, Marcus and Regan, they're like in their 20s now, and obviously played by different actors. So.
You know, I was kind of hoping they'd pump them full of like steroids and they make them grow, but no, they got new actors. Yeah, no, that would be awful filming conditions. Shut down the movie. And Emily Blunt just looks the same because I guess they're insinuating that she'll just age really well. Dude, Emily Blunt, according to these films, the most perfect person in the world, does not age at all. Emily Blunt was made to look like she hasn't aged a day, and it's absolutely bothering because it kind of breaks the continuity. You know, everybody's aging, but Emily Blunt looks fresh AF.
Yeah, it was like the 5th Pirates of the Caribbean movie all over again.
Oh my god! Stop!
Okay, yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
that movie could have been so much better. It could have been so much better. I thought 4 could not be beat as the worst Pirates of the Caribbean.
I actually like 4 more than 2 because it's not as convoluted and actually has a conclusion.
I don't like 2. I agree with that sentiment. I do like the ending of 2, but 2 as a film, I'm not a fan of at all.
Right. I guess they just really, like, you know, it's the thing in Hollywood, like, they don't feel confident having older looking characters sometimes. Which really sucks. You know, recently I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I was like,
I heard that you loved that. I heard that you loved that.
I loved it. It was like, because I was thinking to myself, I can't really think of many mainstream films where the protagonist is a woman in her 50s. And it's also an Asian woman in this case. So, you know,
right.
But yeah, that movie was done so well. You know, in both universes, it's better than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
I had not heard about that film until I saw you post about it, and now I'm intrigued by it.
Oh yeah, if it's playing near you, like, go see it while it's still in theaters. But
cool.
If you miss it, go watch it anyway whenever it's again.
What you're saying is I can't miss this film. I gotta see it at some point.
Right, your life will not be complete if you never see this film.
Oh my! I told it to people about Interstellar, so we'll see. I'll have to check this movie out then.
Oh yeah, Interstellar was pretty cool.
I love Interstellar. All right, listen. Anybody out there who doesn't like Interstellar, you can meet me in the Just Two Lads parking lot.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. It was better than I thought it would be because before seeing it, I thought it was gonna do something really like, for some reason I had this stupid idea that like someone in the movie was gonna go back in time and then it was gonna be revealed, oh, this is actually the first person, like the first human, but no, they didn't do that. So thank goodness for that.
Absolutely, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. But I do think aging the kids up at least kind of fixes things a bit, because you know, with the baby, it kind of felt like it was a bit of a crutch, like, you know, oh, how are we gonna handle the baby?
I'll say it for you, Steven. I'll say it for you. The baby felt like dead weight. I'll say it for you. The baby felt like dead weight. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, I got a notification from Netflix. Are you okay?
What a transition. That baby's like dead weight. Yes. Speaking of which, okay, go on, Steven. Speaking of, yeah.
I got a notification from Netflix that the Boss Baby Back in the Crib TV show is premiering this Thursday.
Oh, did you already text Kelsey?
I did actually. I was like, the Boss Baby TV show is back because they already had one. It had 4 seasons and it had an actual ending, but like this was a surprise. So I told Kelsey about it, and her response was, I might have to bleep this out, but she was like, "Oh." With like 4 eyes, and I just laughed because like I don't know like if you've had different experiences, but this is not how I imagine Kelsey like talking at all. So it was just hilarious.
It's probably from her getting so close to finishing law school that she's unhinged now, as we say.
Yeah, congrats to Kelsey for graduating.
Yes, congrats to Kelsey graduating from Loyola Law School. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, I could have like looked it up. Like I had time to look it up, and I thought it'd be funnier if I just don't know for this podcast. But yeah.
Yeah, Kelsey, if you ever hear this, Steven didn't care enough to look up your credentials. Just to let you know. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I don't know why I said yeah just then. I think it's just like a filler word. I wasn't necessarily agreeing. But yeah, I just use filler words like that on the podcast, like yeah or and sometimes I have to like edit them out. It's a pain, but
dude, editing a podcast, I've never done it, but I've been told it is a huge pain.
Oh yeah, by Marco, who's been on this show and who was also at the Coup de Comedy.
Yeah, yes, I heard that you saw it while you were there.
Yeah, I saw all 3 of you at certain points.
Yes,
and I saw Austin, I think, was there. It looked like him.
I haven't seen Austin in probably 3 years, maybe more.
Oh, wow, wild. And recorded the Black Panther 2 episode with Vinny there, of course, like that.
Oh, I heard you recorded with Vinny. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I think
when's Shinshin coming on?
Oh man, that Shinshin would be fun to have on the show because like he knows a lot about movies. I'm trying to remember. Did I ever ask him like? Yeah, I should see if he's interested.
This is a PSA that if you know Shinshin, to get him on the show. There's a public service announcement.
Yeah, not to be confused with Psychology Student Association.
Of course not. Not at all.
Yeah, my roommates were part of that, and I only went for the free food and board games.
And I love free food games and or board games.
So yeah, the family is trying to survive again, and
right.
And they're like, what? Because after all these years, they could
survive.
The dad was dead, and so they.
John Krasinski did die like 16 years ago.
Yeah, and also Evelyn's dad. But yeah, you want to talk about the shotgun, right?
Okay. For those who have not seen the movie, the shotgun makes no sense to you. So Chekhov's gunned us at the very beginning, just as I Chekhov's gunned you at the beginning of the episode with the shotgun. There was a shotgun that was left in the back of a pickup truck that there's a scene of. And later on, we find out that Emily Blunt has moved on and is getting together with this new man who is helping raise this family in these post-apocalyptic conditions. And in this crazy turn of events where humans once again are the villains, the shotgun was a literal and metaphorical weapon used when Emily Blunt blew his head off. When he turned out to be quite villainous because he was like, I forget what John Krasinski's character name was, but he's like, you gotta stop comparing me to John. You gotta leave him behind.
Oh, Lee, yeah.
And it was, he really wanted to be like Emily Blunt in her family's world, and he becomes the villain, and like he gets so upset at them that he starts making a ton of sound, which really calls in a lot of the monsters. And so in order to make him stop,
he makes like a really weird sound. It's like
I know. He has those megaphones, so he's doing it on a megaphone, and you just hear it echoed through the field. Oh! And so in order to get him to stop, because he said he'll never stop so long as he can't fully love, or that she can't fully love him, Emily Blunt blows his head off, and it was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
because it was in 3D. So like
so like the head was like flying at us. The eyeballs were like
were everywhere. It was nasty, but it was cool. But it was nasty.
Yeah, what'd you think of that actor that they got for that role?
It's correct me if I'm wrong. Is he not the governor from The Walking Dead?
Oh yeah, it's David Morrissey. I didn't recognize him because it was a different accent. Yeah.
Yes, the whole time that I was watching, I was like, "Is that the governor? Is that him?" But like he has a fake beard on, right? Or I don't know if he grew it out. But he has a beard. He has both his eyes.
Yeah.
He obviously he's aged a little bit since he was on the show. The whole time I was like, is that the governor? And then he had a different accent. But yeah, I thought he was cool. I thought he really sold me. Yeah. I think he plays excellent villains.
Yeah, he had a Canadian accent for some reason. Which makes
Can you recreate a Canadian accent for me?
So he was like I won't be able to do it as well, but I think he was like, "You better love me, eh?"
That's right. He was like, "You better love me, eh? Oh, no maple syrup."
It sounded like a mix between Canadian and Shrek, sort of.
Shrek.
And it made me wonder, like, have they gone to Niagara Falls during that like long gap between? Because we were talking last time about how like
that was so built up last
Niagara Falls.
It was so built up last film, and there was no payoff. I bet you it was probably in the comic book series or whatever they had of the in between.
Yeah, because like they mentioned, waterfalls work, and then they just like never went to the Niagara Falls.
They never went.
But yeah, that comic book series, it's very fitting because it's a comic, so there's like no sound.
Right, but, of course.
But like much of it felt like filler. They're like those comic book issues where there's no dialogue, and so it's just action
imagery.
Action panel after action panel, and so you flip through it in 1 minute and you're done. There's like it's a 5-issue mini series.
Right,
and some of it is just the family doing like day-to-day things. It's like exactly halfway through the gap between the first and second movies, and
so like 7 years in.
Yeah, like 7.5 or something. And it's like super boring. Like sometimes they're just doing dishes and it's just like going through, but other times they're
are there moments of like where they're worried about making noise? Is that like what the action is in those comics? Or like
yeah, like... there are moments where they're worried about like the squeaky rolling office chair, and then the alien comes crashing through, and like they have to like kill that. And there's also like some other villainous humans, but you don't know their names or what their deal is because they don't talk, so it's like really confusing. We don't even get thought bubbles. It's so weird and lazy.
There's no thought bubbles?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That is the worst comic book I've ever heard of. No wonder it was never on my radar. I see now.
Yeah, and it's so lazily, like they lazily title it A Quiet Place 3D. Like it's not even
2.5.
Right. Well, there are bits of it where it's like it kind of felt like they were originally planning for it to be a pop-up book, but then ran out of time and just went with it. And
right. Do they ever address? I've had this question. Did they address in that comic book? Because they again didn't address it in this movie, and I was pretty upset about it. What happens during hail? Because like it's all sound based. So like, do these animals get overwhelmed during a hailstorm? Does the comic book ever address that?
They address that in the 1 episode podcast based on A Quiet Place, where it's like in an unspecified point of the timeline, and these random people are like, they hear hail coming down, and that's like all you hear. Like you just hear the hail and like monster noises, and it's like the monsters like really hate the hail, and it's
of course
and it turns out to be a really great way to combat them, like just throw hail at them apparently.
So what you need to do is buy an ice bag, get to the top of your roof, and like just keep throwing it down.
Yeah, and like I wasn't sure if this was consistent with what was established in the first movie, but it's like whatever. Like they carry this thing into this third movie, which, like we've said, feels like it's like resetting things.
It does,
and not even paying attention to the lore and whatever.
The lore was thrown out the window. This film kind of felt like Cloverfield. Have you ever seen the Cloverfield movies?
Oh yeah, the first one was fine. Like it's not for rewatching because found footage, it's shaky cam gets boring, but 10
it's a product of its time.
Yeah, but 10 Cloverfield Lane was amazing, and then
super good.
And then the Cloverfield Paradox is just bad.
That movie is exactly what I'm comparing this one to, because that's what it felt like. It felt like they were just jamming in these cool concepts into a movie, and it did not tie in all that well.
Yeah, it felt like they just wanted more things to throw at the audience, like, oh, here's some hail, flying at you, type of thing.
Yeah, they really leaned into the 3D in this movie. Like, really leaned into it.
Yeah, and they cut back to the, like, day one stuff with those survivors, like those...
Norman Reedus?
Yeah, Norman Reedus, Keira Knightley, and...
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, and they're, like, you see that they're, like, bleeding and stuff, like they've gone through like stuff that was like off screen, which we didn't see for some reason when they cut Back to the Future.
Well, it's kind of cool because it still looked like the town from the original, from the second movie, when they had that cutback scene in the second movie for the trailer only. Yeah. It seemed like they used all that footage now in the third movie, except instead of focusing on Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, they're focusing on Norman Reedus and Benedict Cumberbatch.
And Keira Knightley.
And Keira Knightley, who I keep forgetting for some reason.
Yeah, it was just so lazy, like the way this was put together. You could tell how rushed this movie was.
Absolutely. Last minute film. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they like try to tie the two threads together by like showing like only one of those three people survive in the future, and it's Keira Knightley, who also doesn't look like she's aged, so it's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Who doesn't look like she's aged at all. Women just don't age in this universe. They just don't.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a lore reason now. Like, do the aliens like emit some sort of chemical that like slows the aging process for them?
Of anybody who has high concentrations of estrogen in their system? Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, and like she meets up with a family and like they're like, who the hell are you? And it's like, yeah, of course, only the audience knows who these people are, and they just don't even really talk. They just end up fighting the aliens like from now to the end of the movie.
To the end of the film, they're just hanging out together, knocking heads, and just literally running through force as we do in Bird Box to now. Nothing's changed.
Bird Box was so lame.
Bird Box was severely overrated. It was a good film, but it was severely overrated.
And they like tried to escape on these motorcycles, but it's like, bro, these motorcycles make so much noise. What are you doing?
Dude. No. Once again, I know. They are destroying the lore of the world because it's called A Quiet Place. And what are we using? The loudest contraptions known to man. A motorcycle.
Yeah.
God. When they busted through the sandwich shop, though, that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. It kind of made me hungry.
Dude, I want some Subway right now. I don't know about you, but I've been craving Subway.
Yeah, this podcast is sponsored by Subway. No, just kidding. Can you imagine?
Eat fresh. Never mind. Don't eat fresh.
Subway from the TV show Community.
Nice.
I'm actually wearing a Greendale Community College shirt right now, funny enough.
I thought I'd seen familiar, but I was like, I could be stupid. This could be a reference that it's not actually a reference. I see now.
Yeah, no, for all you know, I could have gone to an actual college called Greendale Community College.
Dude, it could have been your local college. Could have been where your dad went to. All right. Listen. I don't know much.
Could have been some shirt I found at the laundromat.
Could have been at the laundromat. Could have been at the thrift store. Steven, you seem like you'd be an avid thrifter.
I mean, I thrift once in a while.
See?
Sometimes I find good stuff.
I rest my case.
Right. So at the end of this movie, they do this weird quote unquote artistic thing of having no sound. So it's like we don't even hear sound effects. We just see the fighting.
Through the deaf girl's ears again. Right.
Yeah, and like the theater was like, wait, is there something wrong with the sound? And like they had to talk to the projector guy who was like, oh no, this is how it's supposed to be.
Is that what happened to your theater? Really?
Yeah,
really?
It is, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember my theater was also awkward in that moment because of the fact that the sound's going, and then like it appears something's happening, and then sounds sucked out of the room for some reason, and you're just all left there like, hello.
Yeah. So they're trying to defend the sandwich shop in this final scene. And like, what do you think of how they basically wrap up this trilogy of films?
So, it's for those of you who didn't watch it once again. So what was relevant about the sandwich shop is that this is where Norman Reedus and Benedict Cumberbatch's bodies are. This is where they died back in time.
Yeah.
So when we're here forward in time, their bodies are in the room. And there is a moment where our character is like engaged, like, who are these guys? And she's like, that was my husband and his best friend, and it was this moment of,
and
real
they never
sentiment.
specify like which was which to her,
which one was
really
which.
weird.
Right? I think you have to go back and see which dead body has a ring on it. And it was an interesting way that they used that as a through line. I thought that was cool, but the way that the movie ends on one basically a video game trailer where it zooms out on them fighting the onslaught of the horde wave of these aliens, and we once again are just left with this unofficial ending, because like it's cool, like they're fighting off the aliens. It's an open ending, you don't know how it ends, who lives, who dies, if they survive, who lives, who dies, who tells their story, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get to know any of that, and it's cool. It's really cool. I thought it was cinematically shot gorgeously, but from a narrative point of view, man, give me an ending for once. Give me an ending. This whole trilogy was with no endings.
Yeah, I mean, would you rather have seen them like actually dead and just the aliens overrunning their bodies or something?
Yes. Absolutely. That would have been a real ending with real closure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to feel about this. Like, this ending felt so... Like, I know that these characters have survived for so long, but it's like... It just feels so nihilistic that there are all these aliens all over the world still after all these years and no end in sight, apparently. And this is how they choose to wrap up the trilogy, possibly the final film in the franchise. It's like... Why?
I think we're gonna get a mini series. I think we're gonna get an HBO series or something, because
it'd probably be like Paramount Plus, since it's
Paramount. Yes, Paramount Plus, yes, because I feel like the universe is established, but obviously there was no resolve, which means it's open-ended for any writer to do whatever they want with it, and whatever they do will be better than the canon story.
Maybe even make an anthology, but like
anthology. Yeah, there you go.
But each episode's basically the same thing.
But basically, it all ends with an alien showing up at the end every time.
Yeah. Oh exactly. Man, that would suck.
That would suck, but I'd also watch it, though.
You're part of the problem.
I am the problem. I am the target audience that they hope for.
Well, what'd you think of the music overall, then?
Michael Giacchino never misses. I will 100% say that. Michael Giacchino will never miss once in his life, because he absolutely gives his all into every movie that he makes music for. And the soundtrack, despite everything Steven and I have just said today, that soundtrack will probably be something I'd listen to for sure. It is one of those soundtracks that follow you, that it has that eerie feeling of like you don't know what's out there, but it has a sense of wonder in it, that plays when like the kids were like walking through the forest. Well, I guess they're not kids anymore, they're in the 20s, but when the kids are walking through the forest earlier in the film, it has this a beautiful back and forthness between the unknown and beauty, and I thought that was a super cool soundtrack. I thought it was absolutely stellar, interstellar. Also by Michael Giacchino.
Right. Yeah, the music was pretty good. It makes for some good like background music if I'm like writing or something. But yeah, I just wish the movie was like as good. I guess we could like go into final thoughts and scores out of 10. So
final thoughts and scores out of 10. Okay.
Yeah, and like your unit of measurement for that score.
Okay.
As well.
Okay. Final thoughts. Better than 2. Better than 2. Because I'm a real sucker for 3D coming at me constantly. So better than 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, actually no, give me your final thoughts, and then I'll give you my final scale.
Okay. I actually think this is worse than 2, in my opinion.
Okay. We had different watching experiences.
Yeah, it felt like it was a huge swerve from what we expected from the end of the second one.
That is true.
And just, it felt like a mishmash of 2 different films. Like, maybe people would have been annoyed if there had been like this prequel spin-off and then part 3, but maybe it wouldn't have been as bad as just smushing them like together in this way. So when all's said and done, I think I would give this one 5.5 out of 10 sandwiches.
I was also going to say sandwiches. Now I have to change my scale.
Oh wow, we finish each other's sandwiches.
Thank you, Anna. I think this movie got 7 out of 10 shotgun heads. I think that's what it got.
Oh wow. Yeah, I can't remember what your score was for the second one, but okay.
I don't remember either, but I think it's a 7 out of 10 though. I think I wouldn't watch it again unless I had to, but I think if I did watch it, I'd still sit down and enjoy it as I was watching it.
Okay, yeah. So that was like 7 out of 10 shotgun
to the heads.
Yeah,
in reference to the shotgun scene. Yes.
Of course. Yeah. All right, so we're briefly cutting away to this segment recorded on May 20th, the night before this episode goes out. And joining me briefly from that other universe, it's the other me. And I guess to like save myself some work, like I know previous times I've like altered your voice or whatever, but it would save me some work if you just like changed your voice while you're talking somehow. I suppose I can do an accent. Oh my gosh. Oh, I won't specify what accent it is. That way we won't offend anyone. I guess there is a logic to that, but it's still kind of cringe. Oh yeah, don't worry, Steven. I'll try to keep a handle on it. Oh my gosh, is this like the Moon Knight thing? Ooh yeah, this is my multiverse of madness, so to speak. Yeah, speaking of which, on the night we're recording this, it's also another podcast, the Intergalactic Peace Coalition, we just saw their 8th anniversary show, and at some point during the show, there's like a live chat there on YouTube, and Zach and Ben were talking, and at some point we're able to mention the 2nd anniversary show for this podcast, and they gave us congrats. Yeah, that was very, very kind of them. Yeah, and I considered including the soundbite of them congratulating us, but it would just be like too much extra work for me. I just want to get this out. It's almost as if you would prefer to do as little work as possible. I mean, yeah, even at the risk of like other me having a bad sounding accent, I guess. Would you prefer it if I try talking like this? Oh my gosh, stop. Anyway, they celebrated their anniversary and they eventually talked about Moon Knight. Our thoughts and the thoughts of other people were brought up in that. But yeah, I kind of wish I liked the show more, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, it was very, just meh. Yeah, like 5 out of 10, something like that. But anyway, congratulations to IPC. I'll link their episode in the show notes. And yeah, their podcast and a few other podcasts were what inspired me to do this one a couple years ago. You know, there's also Trust Your Doctor and those other shows over at Decorative Vegetable. Oh, and also huge fan of other podcasts like Welcome to Night Vale and Hello from the Magic Tavern. Oh yes, those are very entertaining podcasts. Yeah, more entertaining than this one, right? Self-deprecating joke. But anywho, earlier you were able to listen to the new episode prior to this, what people are hearing now. Oh yes, it was very entertaining. Great to hear Ryan in that original recording, and Andres funny as ever, and nice shoutouts to other people who'd been on the show before. Oh yeah, I meant to mention that Haley was also at the Coup de Comedy, but the conversation just like went elsewhere at some point. But there've been like so many good guests on the show, and yeah, it would be like a long list, I think. I've lost count of how many have been on the show. Quite right, quite right. But regarding the 4DX thing, I was wondering whether the Escape Room 3D experience would count as 4DX. I vaguely recall that being like a strange experience. Oh man, it was so strange that I've like sort of like blocked out some, like intentionally, like just tried to forget about that whole thing. Like just, yeah, the act of like being basically in this game that which kind of like felt like a scam, like that experience was something, and people who've heard that episode know what me and Marco are talking about. Oh, and we also watched the entire season of The Boss Baby back in the crib. Oh yeah, it was very funny. Yes, I loved how it picked up from after the second film. Pretty good. Yeah, honestly, it's surprising how far you and I have gotten into the Boss Baby franchise when we didn't really care for the first movie. But yeah, I'm glad to be celebrating 2 years of this. I know this podcast has gone like every other week for this season, and presumably it'll be like that for the next one. Yeah, I do think there will be a season 4, but I was considering making this like a podcast where it's every other week like last year, but there were just so many topics, so I had to keep it weekly, I felt. But around that time, IPC was, they made the decision to do every other week, and I mean, Just Two Lads with Andres and Kelsey has always been every other week, and I think this format is working thus far. Yes, I agree. And happy second anniversary to Delayed Replay. I shall continue listening. Of course you will. It's you. Which, I mean, I don't know. I don't like listening to myself that much. It's more tolerable if I'm talking with someone in the recording, but if it's just me, it's kind of a pain. No offense. None taken. I'd probably feel the same. You've come a long way in regards to when it comes to podcasting. Like, there used to be that Star Wars podcast. Yeah, and eventually there was a Star Trek podcast along the way, although that one had to go on hiatus for a couple of different reasons, and I know I kept like mentioning it on episodes last year during that hiatus, but like eventually when we were trying to bring it back, me and my co-host, we were thinking of like giving it another shot, and we had an idea of when and how to do at least like several new episodes covering a season, but there were other people, like they each had different ideas of when and how to bring it back, and it's just like it kind of just didn't really come together, and the feeling that was felt was with everything that was going on and like making us busy, it'd probably be best to just end the podcast. But it is what it is, and now I'm still doing Delayed Replay, also doing Yes Shift, and Yeah, just it's been a lot going on. Perfectly understandable. But yeah, for the foreseeable future, I don't think delayed replay is ending anytime soon. Like, I know there are some episode topics that I considered for this year, but will probably spill into next year for the next season, and people will see what they are when we get there. And yeah, thank you and other people for listening. You're welcome. All right, yeah, this has been weird already. Let's just get back to like the end of the recording with Undress. Well, I guess that'll do it. Thanks again for joining me on Dress.
Of course, I have a great time coming on this show. I always love when I'm invited.
Yeah. So, do you have anything to plug, like social media or like Just Two Lads episodes? People can go back.
Sure. Just Two Lads has been in a hiatus for like 6-7 months because Kelsey and I got incredibly busy at the same time. It used to just be Kelsey in grad school, but then I was in grad school as well, and it became incredibly difficult. So Kelsey just graduated from law school, so shout out to Kelsey, my co-host out there in Just Two Lads. We hope to come back really soon. And we're hoping to film a ton in the summer. So you could always find us at Just Two Lads. You can find me at Pojeki anywhere. That's Pojeki. And if you're hearing my voice, odds are I probably know you. So hello. And if you don't know me, get to know me. Send me a message. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. Yeah, throughout this recording, like there were times when I was about to say your name and I almost said Pojeki instead of Undress for some reason.
Because that's what everything pops up as. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, go check out, like if you haven't listened to Just Two Lads, you have like a whole catalog to listen to. People can find me at Steven Shinder on Instagram and Twitter, Steven Shinder Storytelling on Facebook. You can find my fantasy horror comedy novel, Lemons of Like Rain. It's on Amazon. More info at stevenshinder.com. And the next one, Trespassing Through the Visages, will be out sometime later this year. I was recently on Mr. Multiverse's Requalizers podcast over on his Patreon, where we talked about requel ideas for Friday the 13th. Yeah. And yeah, he did like 2 episodes, one with a different friend and one with me. So go ahead and listen to both of those and the others I was on, I guess. And also check out Yes Shift, which is the vlog/podcast I do with my dad, where we talk about the progressive rock band Yes. I think by the time this episode comes out, we'll have interviewed Billy Sherwood, the bassist of the current Yes lineup. And we've interviewed other people like Bill Bruford, Oliver Wakeman, and a few other like Yes related people. So yeah, go check that out. And you can email delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on these past 2 years, I guess. It's crazy.
And why Andres is your favorite co-host of just of Delayed Replay. Yes.
Yeah, we'll let the emailers decide.
Good, as they should.
Yeah, and if anyone sends like a message for like the anniversary or whatever, I'll splice it in. If it's not on time, then it'll be in a future episode or like a delayed reply, I guess. And
delayed reply.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
And yeah, might insert another segment somewhere around here, but. Yeah, thanks again. And the next episode, which comes out, was it like June 4th? Like 2 Saturdays after May 21st. Let me see what the calendar says. Let's see, 20.
Hold your horses as Steven checks his calendar.
Yeah, hold your
sandwiches.
Yeah. June 4th, the next episode, I think it'll be the League of Super Pets. If it's something else, I'll correct it in post. But yeah, without further delay, have a good day. Yeah, that voice always scares me, kind of. All right, so I might leave that in if you're fine with that. But...
Oh no! Yeah, go for it. I don't care.
Okay. Maybe as like a post credits.
There you go.
All right, I'll go ahead and bring us in.
Okay.